It's being recorded and so to make it available for other people to watch. We are very fortunate today to have one of our own here to talk a little bit about his work in the fitness community. And Aubrey Brown has been with the college for a long time, but in addition to his work at the college, he also does a great deal of work in the Bronx with Black and Brown children on health and wellness. And I was so happy when he reached out to me to say, I'd like to do something and talk to the FIT community today. So I'm so happy to have him here today. So Aubrey, would you like to come on board and greet everyone here?
Hello, everybody. How are you? Good afternoon.
Okay, welcome. And we're going to have information. We're going to share information, and we have some time. We'll also take questions. And as I mentioned before, we will have this. We will be video. We are videotaping this. So right now, I'm going to stop sharing for the moment so we can talk. And here we go. So first of all, Aubrey, I want to say welcome to this conversation. And I'm so happy that you're with us. And what I want to start off is tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection with FIT and a little bit about what you do outside FIT.
Well, I've been with FIT since 1999. I've been working at the operational services. So yeah, I've been doing that for over 20 years. Started at receiving, then I'm in the print and mail department. So and then I'm a personal trainer / group fitness instructor. I've been doing that for nearly 20 years as well. I've been working all throughout the city, residential buildings, and also dealing with schools and with the children.
Okay. How did you start working with children and health and wellness? What got you interested and motivated to do that? And the reason why I ask that is as you are aware of the statistics, if we look at, for example, COVID and how it's impacted Black and Brown community, for example, according to statistics, the death rates for COVID, for example, one in 1,500 Black Americans have died. Latinos, 1 in 3,200 Americans have died, and 1 in 3,600 white Americans have died from this. Black Americans have experienced a highest mortality rate than any other nationality. And I know that could be said about other aspects of health in the African American community. So how did you get into this? And tell me a little bit about how you got into it and what do you do?
Well, again, like I just said earlier, I've been training for nearly 20 years. And, living in our community and me seeing now, when I was younger, playing in a park was very big. Playing in a park, my grandmother, I remember she used to force me outside, go outside, and pretty much, like I'm sure a lot of us older people could talk about, go outside, come home and the lights go off. That's what it was. We didn't have no cell phones. We didn't have nothing. It was pretty much go outside and come back. So, me being outside, that was a lot of form of exercise. Nowadays, I notice children don't do that as much. So, due to they have the internet, they got the video games. There's a lot of things about young children don't like going outside anymore. And also it's dangerous too. It's dangerous going outside. Maybe we didn't realize it when we were younger, but now it just seems like the streets are a little bit more dangerous to go outside. Maybe a parent doesn't trust his or her child to go outside and play in the park with his or her friends. So they stay home, but they still eating the same. So I thought, how can I make a difference? How can I get kids working out more? How can I get them moving a little bit more? So my goal was to, with my friend, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but I said, what can we do together to get kids working? So I started working with different schools throughout the Bronx. A good friend of mine who was a principal in one of these charter schools in the Bronx, and he got me in there. And ever since then, maybe the last 3 or 4 summers, I've been going to different schools in the Bronx in 2 days a week each school and just teaching them about working out, the importance of nutrition, and just pretty much just staying active.
And in terms of, I mean, the one thing that we talk about is you mentioned is about video games and not going outside and play. They're not active. I mean, when I was a kid, my parents would send me out and outside, say, "Okay, you go outside and play." And when the street lights came on, that's when you came
Right.
back in. So you
Right.
were playing the whole day. Um, what can we do to encourage students to, or children, I should say, to encourage activity because they're not active, and statistics shows that because of that inactivity, it leads to health issues.
I think we need to lead by example. To be honest with you, I think we need to lead by example. Remember, when the child is young, they do what we do. They copy. They want to be with us. I'm a father, and they want to be around us. They want to whatever we do. If they see us, hey, take them to the park with you. Take them to the track with you. Even if you can't go outside, have them do a little workout with you. Pretty much develop that relationship, because, and again, a lot of them don't have the parents, to do that with, which could be very hard. So that's why I would really focus on the education part of it and working with schools to maybe get this part of the curriculum. You know, Again, a lot of these gym teachers and stuff like that, if you get dressed with your uniform, you pass. That's it. When I was younger, we literally had to take a physical fitness test. The gym teachers really took it serious. So, it was not like, okay, you get dressed, you get a 99. No, they took it serious. So I think schools with between parents being more active with their children and the schools taking gym classes a little bit more serious, I think we can start making a difference with these younger children.
I totally agree with that. But one of the things that we went through, as you know, we all together we went through this, and still in it, this pandemic where we were isolated and we were, not able to get together and work together. And one of the things that we talk about, I mean, you talk about the physical, how to develop physically and how to develop your diet. But one of the challenges that we have as adults, but also children has had to deal with is the mental health aspect and how the pandemic dealt with them that way. And in terms of your work, what have you seen in terms of how this pandemic has impacted children in that way, in terms of them coping and them dealing with this pandemic?
It affected them a lot. It affected them a lot. Not not going outside, not being around their friends, being stuck at home, and it's pretty much the only thing they're doing. Again, they just sitting down all day. So if they eat something, they just sitting down with it. So what happens is they started gaining weight, and now with social media and all this pressure of looking a certain way, that could lead to a form of depression. So all that together, I have a talk series on Instagram called Fitness Talk with Aubreys Fitness. And matter of fact, I spoke to one of my clients who's a fourth grade teacher. And she told me the effect of students being at home compared to them being in person, the energy. When they came back to school from, being home all day, the lack of energy by 11 o'clock, 11:30, they were tired. They were physically tired because, they home, a lot of them don't even get dressed. They're just staying in their pajamas. All that affects their energy and their lack of movement. Seeing gym teachers trying to teach a class online, a gym class, him or her, that was hard for them, come up with different ideas of, you don't know the size of the person's apartment or house. So the energy wasn't there. So COVID really hit the students really, really hard, really, really hard. I believe it hit the students worse than it hit us.
And you think about it. You think about our generation. I think we're part of the same generation. Imagine if this happened when we were young. If the COVID, it would have been something totally. It would have been a disaster in that way. I mean, a lot of people were going remote, but people don't understand that a physical activity is so important, and that physical connectiveness with other people are so important for our.
I'm sorry, we underestimated the walking that we do during the day. We underestimated walking to the train, taking the stairs, walking from maybe in your office, walking to the bathroom. That could be maybe a couple of hundred steps there and back. All those, when we were doing it every day, we underestimated. If I say, did you work out today? You're going to say no, because you don't consider walking working out. But when it's taken away from you, right, and you're just sitting home, you see how many steps you do per day. It's not a lot. So all that food you're taking in is just sitting there. You're not burning it off at all. So again, that could have formed, you're not getting no sunshine. You're not going outside, which was a valid reason not to, but it did affect us.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people are still talking about the aspects of it, the lack of the physical, lack of that, and what it has done to their bodies, stuff like that. So we still talk about that. Let me go more into your book, and we're gonna put on the website, and we'll put it on here as well, how you can get the book, purchase the book. But let's talk about Aubreys Fitness Kids. It's a great book, and talk about how it came about, and just talk about it, and what's inside of it, and how does it work in your mission in helping to educate kids.
Well, a good friend of mine, he started his own book company. And what he tried to do is try to get real life situations, real life professionals to tell their story. So he reached out to me because I was a personal trainer, and he said, "Hey, Aubrey, we need to do something for our youth." So him and we said, what can we do to try to get children more active? So that book is beginning learners, and it just teaches you pretty much basic nutrition, basic exercises, and the most important thing of how you could do it together as a family. Okay, so like I said earlier, our children follow our lead. If we're eating well with them at an early age, they get used to it. They get used to it. Their taste buds will get used to eating early. Eating better. I'm sorry. Being active. So that's what that book was about. How, and even though it's beginning, for beginning early readers, everybody could benefit from that type of book. Because again, basic nutrition. I even wrote a basic workout in the book. And if you see the book and you open it, it's everything was family, 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 family.
I have to say, I love the book. I love the artwork. Talk a little bit about the artwork, because that was a collaboration. Tell me more about this. It was focused on family, but it's just amazing.
Right. So my publisher, he has an artist. Matter of fact, she's not from the U.S. I think she's from Russia. But she tried to, it's funny, I never met her, but she saw the style we wanted for our community, because we really didn't see books like that for our community. So she tried to, how can I get pictures that we could relate to, that we could recognize, that could be like, that's us. Because a lot of times people, if they don't relate to it, they're not going to look into it. So I wanted, us, all three of us together, what pictures could we show that could be reflected to our community?
Well, let's talk a little bit about the community, because that's something. In terms of the book, when people see their faces in the book, they're gonna relate to it. They're gonna gravitate to it. They're gonna love it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's me, and I think that's a positive thing. And I was looking at it in terms of your recipes and stuff like that. It's amazing. But let's talk a little bit about the community that you're working in, because one of the big thing is you talk about the proper food and what to eat. And as you know, a lot of areas, even in this city, unfortunately, there are food deserts, and where you can't get vegetables and fruits that you need. What have you done to help with that, and what do you recommend that we do?
Unfortunately, yeah. Again, me going to these schools, you see corner stores, you see groceries, and again, people try to navigate to things that they find easier to get. So a lot of these grocery stores don't have the basic nutrition. So we have to work hard to try to find it. They're in the supermarket, but we have to look a little bit more deeper. Look for more vegetables, not so much vegetables in the canned goods. Look for more vegetables. Look for more, different type of white rice. Maybe try some brown rice. And it doesn't have to be so dramatic. We still want kids to be kids. We want to enjoy some ice cream once in a while. That's fine. But we try to not to have that every single day. And like I just feel a lot of it is generational. Our parents ate it. Well, let's go higher. Our grandparents ate it. They fed it to our parents. Now our parents fed it to us, and we feel like we just go down with it. You know, we need to stop that generational curse and say, okay, I may have survived on it, but I want something a little bit better for my child. What can I do? You know, our parents, our grandparents didn't have the internet, maybe. They didn't know what there's better options out there than what they've been providing us, right? Now we have that. All schools have computers, all schools have internet. So if we do a little bit more research, because we have the capability to do that, I think we could find better options in these supermarkets.
I totally agree. We have to change our behavior, and and that's what you've been advocating in going to the schools and so on and so forth. And we have to change it what we do at home and what we do at public places in schools and so on. Because I know, and you probably know this as well, because like I said, we're from the same generation. I know when I was a kid, when we eat dinner, we would have soda. We wouldn't have water. And I'm just saying to myself now, I wouldn't even think about doing that now, but that's what our kids drink. And then we're thinking about we are what we eat. And as kids, we're drinking soda, and as adults, we're drinking soda. And guess what? We have diabetes.
There you go. Childhood diabetes is on the rise. Childhood diabetes. When I was younger, I never knew of a friend of mine having diabetes. That's on the rise now. Which is because part of it, they're eating bad and they're not being active. So both of them combined together leads to situations, unfortunately, like that.
And then thank you for that. And because like you said, you also do personal training. So for a kid, I mean, when you talk about kids, how often should they exercise? What do you think?
I believe maybe 3 to 4 times a week. And exercise, again, sometimes people are scared of that word, exercise. They thinking this hardcore 45-minute to an hour workout. No, I'm thinking, if you live on the 3rd floor, instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs. If you live in these apartment buildings and somebody lives on 3F, instead of waiting for the elevator for 10 minutes, take the stairs. Take the stairs, go up, go down. Walk a little bit. Maybe do a 10-minute workout. When I say exercise, there's no time limit to it. It could be as short as 10 minutes. It could be long as an hour. But I just feel they need to be more active, at least 3 or 4 days a week.
And that's just, that's structured activity. In terms of, actually, I would think, and you say this in the book, that this should be active all the time, doing something.
I like being realistic. Yes, if you could give me something every day, I'll take it. But I like being realistic. And realistic, if you could give me some type of workout 3 to 4 days a week, you start seeing the change in your body, you start feeling energetic, then you take it upon yourself to expand that. So if I have a client that's never worked out before, yeah, I would love 3 or 4 days a week. But if I could get him or her to do 1 day a week, that's a start.
It's better than nothing.
To start.
Right. The thing that's interesting, we talked about, physical education, gym class at school. And I know when I was in school a long time ago, we had gym once a week. And I always say to myself, how is that enough? It's not enough. And I think that, it should be incorporated in the school daily, as part of, or even maybe at least 3 times a week to really have the impact. What do you think? You were talking about, should do something, but more physical education.
I would love it. It just so happens is that in our community, the schools are so overcrowded.
That's what I was.
The schools are so overcrowded that you don't have the time or the space to do it. So the program I do over the summer, which my publisher Hedrick McBride, he runs a program which has somebody like me to go to some of these schools 2 days a week to give them an hour workout. And these schools be hot, but it's a great way because this program is free for the students, okay? And I go over there and I give them a little workout. But a lot of it is overcrowded to the school, so they're unable to do 3 days per class. Now, maybe if the personal teacher, like their teacher could maybe give them maybe a 20-minute, let's everybody stand up, let's stretch out, and do maybe a little basic workout, that would be great. But to have an actual gym class 3 days a week, that's going to be hard because it's just the overcrowded of the school system.
Yeah, I mean, the more activity you can have, the better. But again, we have that reality, like you said, of overcrowding and so much. The one thing that you talk about in your book, and it gets me to, sometimes when kids go to school, their first meal, their only meals in some cases, is their lunch.
Mm.
And I know the mayor just recently spoke about having vegan Fridays. Um, and I just want you to talk about, the food. What do you think about the food that they're serving in the schools? And, because sometimes that's their only meal. And a lot of times what they're getting is not nutritious enough to really help sustain them.
Yeah, you hit the nail right there. I mean, unfortunately, the school lunches aren't good, but the community, a lot of these parents can't afford to pack lunch for their children. So since this school lunch is free, they have no choice but to eat this. You understand? Some of these schools, they provide breakfast and lunch. If they get there early enough, they can get breakfast and they can have lunch. But is it nutritious? A lot of it's not. But they have no choice. And again, when I'm my age group, we had that. We had school lunch. I remember having like a pizza. Like I would never touch, like the stuff we were eating back then, I would never have.
That's now.
When you're in that situation, you don't know any better. You know what I'm saying? When you're in a situation, you don't know any better. So you're just eating what they provide for you. And like you said, a lot of the people, this is their meal. This is their biggest meal of their day, lunch. Because breakfast, forget it. Like if you interview a lot of these students, they don't eat breakfast at all. And that's not just in our community. That's, like I said earlier, I interviewed my client, and she's a fourth grade teacher for a charter school on the Upper East Side. And the same thing, they don't eat breakfast, and they have lunch. So by the time they have lunch, they're starving. So you can put whatever that's on that plate, right, with some chocolate milk, right? They're gonna eat it. Is it nutritious? No.
Yeah.
I'm scared to know what that vegan food is gonna look like. I wouldn't want to look at that.
I don't know either. That's interesting, but they're looking at doing it.
They're trying.
They're trying to change the diet because they realize that what you are what you eat, and it's so important because you're building. Not only we want to build healthy bodies, but healthy minds, and they're connected in that way. And those students that have both are going to be more successful.
Right.
In going into the future. So I think that's important. The thing is, if I were to give you a magic wand real quick, and because if you think about COVID revealed a lot of stuff that are bad about our society, a lot of realities about our society, a lot of inequalities about our society. So if I were to give you a magic wand, I just gave you a magic wand with all kinds of superpowers, what would you do first and second?
But inequalities of our.
Yeah, what would you do to change the inequalities and what you see in the work that you do?
I would want the people that make these laws and regulations to step into our community, to see what an average student goes through in the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, Lower East Side, Manhattan. Walk through it, because a lot of people who make these rules and regulations, they never walked into these buildings. They never talked to a student. They never spoke to a single mother who has 2 kids and can't afford to provide their children with food from home, because because a lot of times, most times, you had dinner, leftovers, you pack it in and you give them a lunch, but they can't afford that. That leftover dinner is dinner again today. So again, they have to eat this school system, correct? I wish the people, like the mayor, great, bravo, vegan Fridays. Well, have you spoken to any of these students? Have you spoken to these parents? Have they walked into these buildings? Have they spoken to these teachers? A lot of them haven't. So the people are making these rules are not in touch with what's going on in our community. So my magic wand, get them in our community. Spend a day with these students with no teachers around, so they don't feel like they could get in trouble for what they got to say.
Right.
Not for nothing. Some of these students are very opinionated. they're not scared to express themselves, but I think they'll be more comfortable with their parents not being there or their teacher because they're scared of, getting in trouble. Speak to them. Have like a small circle. Speak to them and tell them what they want. That would be my suggestion if I had the magic wand.
That's a good thing to do with the magic wand, and then you could do whatever you want with the magic wand after that. You could do that, but I think that's a big important thing to help.
Do that everywhere.
Exactly. Real quick, while everyone is here, if you see the PowerPoint I'm sharing, this is the website where you can get Aubreys book, and it's unbelievable. When I say it's really good for the kids, it's wonderful. I love it. I love it. I think it's so important. And the thing that Aubrey talks about is when you teach the children about good exercise, good health, and how to eat properly, it transcends. It helps them to become and grow and transcend into a very successful and healthy person, because statistics shows you are what you eat. And when you're 26 years old and you're overweight, you have diabetes, and you're not exercising, that's danger. And that's why we have Black and brown people dying at early ages, because they're not healthy. But at the same time, you have to have the resources, as Aubrey said, so you can be healthy. So you have to have the food, you have to have the ability to go outside and do the things you need to do. So I think the last thing before we take any questions is, what do you think is one of your biggest challenges that you face during COVID, in terms of doing the work that you do?
Dealing with people's mental health. A lot of people were not in a good place mentally. People not just doing their normal routine. It just felt like everything was taken away. A lot of frustration, between the children and their parents, because now their parents, parents normally drop their children off to school, boom, 8 hours or whatever, pick them up and they come home. Now they stuck with them. And now they have to help them because there's but so much a teacher could do online, right? So now the parents are becoming a little bit more involved with their studies. And they also have to do their own personal work as well. So that turns to a lot of arguments between the parents and their children. They take their frustration now, they sending emails to these teachers. I know this because I train these teachers, and they're frustrated. Now their teachers are home doing virtual schoolwork, and they got families that they have to deal with. So they can't answer all these emails, right? And again, when you just stuck with somebody for so long, tension builds. You kind of want to miss your kids a little bit, 8 hours a day, because you're going to work from 9 to 5 and they're in school, but now there's nowhere to go. Their kids are saying, "Mommy, I'm hungry. What am I gonna have for lunch? Mommy, I need this. Mommy, Dad, what?" That just turns with a lot of frustration. So people's mental health is not a good place. I've seen a lot of people smiling, but when you speak to them and they really let out their thing, a lot of people use the gym as an outlet to go to the gym and go and work out. The gyms were closed. Some people don't like working out at home. They want to be in a group fitness classes like I teach. They want to be told what to do. Even bosses. I've trained bosses who are VPs, presidents of companies, and they tell me, "Aubrey, you're the only person who can speak to me like this all day." I'm telling them what to do. They're usually telling people what to do. All that's taken away, what happened because of COVID. So that leads to another form of depression. So yeah, people's mental health. I was more worried about, to be honest with you, I was more worried about people's mental health than their physical health. Why I say that? Because if you gain 15 pounds of COVID weight, you could lose that. You could lose that. That's okay. But when your mental health was struggling, that's hard. That's really hard to bounce back. How many, I always say, when's the last time you asked somebody how they doing and you meant it? Like, when's the last time you called somebody? When's the last time you text somebody? Email and say, how you doing? I send emails throughout FIT community. Hey, how's everybody going? Send them a little workout. Hope everybody's well. A lot of people don't get that. So everybody's sitting at home and they just felt this big time depression. So yeah, mental health to me was bad during this pandemic.
And it's harder, like you said, when you don't have the resources to help you cope. And when you're dealing with the children and dealing with this ongoing day to day, it's a lot on a person. And I know it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot for adults, but it's
Wow.
also a lot for the kids too.
Kids feel it because again, kids need that interaction with their peers. They need to be with their friends. They need to sit with them. So now again, you see them in their class and they have all these Zoom boxes. They can't have no side conversations. Yeah, a lot of kids now have cell phones, but a lot of kids don't have a cell phone. They can't afford to have a cell phone. Cell phone's expensive. So again, man, I want to see my friend, but I only can see a box. During lunch, right? The Zoom goes off. They doing what they got to do, and they come back
Right,
and they see nothing but boxes again. It's
right,
tough.
absolutely. So let me, at this point, Aubrey, ask if anyone has any questions for us today. And I want to say thank you. Matthew actually put the link on the chat box for us, so I appreciate that very much. So that way, if you're interested in getting Aubrey's book, which I already have, I already have, but if you want to get his book, you can go on that website. Um, and please, if you have any questions, please feel free. I just have to say, Aubrey, I'm so fortunate that, I mean, we've known each other since I've been at the college. I've been at the college for 8 years. I, it will be 8 years. I can't believe that. And I know you've been here, like you said, for 20.
Right.
Um, and I must say that I admire this work that you do to help bring awareness to the Bronx community and other communities in New York City, to the kids especially because they need that. Because I remember, and I'm sure you can relate to this too. I remember when I was a kid, and I was a kid in Buffalo, and I remember when people came into the community and did stuff, encouraged us to play sports and stuff. That was really empowering if you think about it. It was fun, and you take it for granted, but that's something that has an impact years later. Someone that took an interest in me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Teachers are paid to do their work. They love their work, don't get me wrong, but they're doing their job. But when you have someone come in who this is not their job, this is something that they feel they want to give back, it's really empowering. It's really wonderful. So when you told me that you did this, I must say that I really admire that and admire you. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
that.
Thank
You
you.
know, I
Thank you.
it's important. The work that you do is so very important, and you realize even if you touch one person, that's one person that may not have to may be overweight. That's one person that will look at how to prepare their food, their diet. That's one person that years from now may not have diabetes. You know what I mean? That's one person that may not have cancer. That has an impact. That's a superpower.
Definitely. It takes one person. That's what it is. One person.
Exactly, one person at a time.
There you
Do
go.
we have any questions from our wonderful audience today? I want to say, everyone, thank you for coming. And I think it's important to continue your work and continue the wellness and health, awareness, especially in the Bronx, especially in the Black and Brown community, because it's so needed. And we have to everyone out there we have to do our part to make sure that if we know of these food deserts, that we do something to encourage supermarkets to move in to these communities, because supermarkets tend to move into communities for economic reasons, but we need to have change in terms of serving the community. The other
They,
thing,
they
you know,
unfortunately they put the negative stuff in our community. We got the liquor stores, we got we have the corner stores, which is good, but they put nothing but junk in there. They surround us by so much negative things, and we have easy access to. Instead of, like you said, the community stick together and go into a supermarket, speak to the manager or the owner of the supermarket, says, we don't want this. We want that. We want the same stuff you put in the Upper East Side. We want the same stuff you put in the Upper West. We want that here.
yeah,
And we want that. Years ago, communities stayed together. When they wanted change, they got together and they made change, and I totally agree with you. We have to go into these stores and say, this is what we want.
Absolutely.
We want fresh stuff. We want more.
Absolutely.
Everything is not canned goods. We want more fresh stuff.
And have green grocers come in, why not have green grocers come in, and sell their goods, and the other thing is in parking lots, we have a lot of lots, vacant lots in New York City. And unfortunately, we have a lot in the Bronx as well. Why not use them as gardens? We can do. There's got to be ways to do that, to grow things. We have to change. We have to change our mindset and how we think of things, and things are possible.
But like you said, the people. Remember, you said my magic wand.
Yes, sir.
Like the mayor and all these people, the governor and all those city councilmen, they need to come and with the ideas you're saying about the parking lot, they need to see this and want change. It's easy to say this is what you want, but they have the capability to do this. If they want the New York City to be a health and safer place, give people the chance. People want it. People don't want to eat McDonald's all the time. People don't want to eat, corner store sandwiches. People don't want to eat, canned vegetables. They want the opportunity, but they're gonna go where it's easy for them. We're in a rush. I got $5. I'll go get chicken McNuggets and French fries. Because this is what I could afford, and it's quick access. The people that are making the rules and regulations for the city need to get into the communities, and if they want to make a difference, they have to take the way to make a difference if they want to.
Well, the thing is, this video is being recorded, so maybe we can send it to the mayor.
Send it to him.
And the councilman, because it's so important that they understand that. And I mean, one example I want to mention, because you are what you eat. I know that, when you're young and your brain's developing, it wants nourishment, and your body wants activity. It's like you have a new car. You want it needs the fuel to run. It needs the opportunity to drive. I mean, we need to think of ourselves as an engine and how to support that engine. And that's what we have to do.
It's funny you said that. I use that line all the time to my clients. I says, your body's like a car, and what kind of gas you put in your car, that's how it's going to drive. It's funny you said that.
Sometimes it's just very simple things like that, and that's what it's all about. But I have to say, I admire your work. What you do is so very, very important. And when we talk about superheroes, a superhero doesn't always wear a cape and and have X-ray vision and so on. I mean, the X-ray vision probably be great or whatever, can fly. But let me say that I think of you as one, and I think of the work that you do is so important. I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for this opportunity today to be with us and to share this important work that you do.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Ron, for the opportunity. I've had a blast. Thank you for providing this for us. This is great. It's good to have this type of knowledge. I appreciate you, and I just thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you more. I appreciate you more. And I say something, in the car as the body, the electrical system must be maintained and the right fuel mentally and physically. Matthew, we couldn't agree with you more.
That's great, Matthew.
I saw that comment in there. Thank you so very much. Everyone, listen, thank you for coming. We did record this video, so it will be available on the Black History Month website. But thank you so much, Aubrey. Thank you for the work, and let's continue. I want to be working with you on this as well. So I am very happy. So thank you so very much.
Thank you so much again, and everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you, Ron.
Everyone have an awesome day, and we'll see you soon. Enjoy the other Black History Month activities, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.